turn the tables on them in the second and the third to take a 28-point lead in our final score, 116-98. The Clippers fall to the Oklahoma City Thunder here at Paycom Center, their final trip in the regular season to this building. Hugs and high fives all around between these two squads. Clippers will head on home to end this 3-game road trip before they take on Atlanta and then head right back on the road to Minnesota and Denver. Final tallies from the box score: Amir Coffey, 26 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Ivica Zubac with 11 points and 9 rebounds. Clippers got 12 from Mo Bamba, a season high, along with a season high 8 rebounds, 10 from Jordan Miller, 11 from Kevin Porter Jr., and Kai Jones had 6 points in garbage time on 3 for 3. Meanwhile, for Oklahoma City, Shea with 29. Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara, that's J-Dub with 18 points. Isaiah Hartenstein had 11 points and 9 rebounds. They got 11 points from A.J. Mitchell off the bench. Well, that will do it for us here at Paycom. We'll talk to you in about 2 minutes with Adam Muslim, but he is going to step into the driver's seat and take your calls and take you the rest of the way. For Carlo Jimenez, Cooper Turlip, our statistician, Britt Lockhart, our engineer, Daniel West and Adam back in the studio. So long from Paycom. The Clippers fall 116-98, and they're headed home to Intuit Dome. We'll see you in a few on your Clippers Audio Network.
Well, the Clippers had a 4-point lead at the half, but would get thunderstruck in that third quarter as they were outscored by 22 in OKC. And the Thunder go on to win 116-98 over your Los Angeles Clippers. Welcome into your postgame show. I'm Adam Osland. Coming up, we got your postgame box score and an update on Kawhi Leonard. But first, back to your radio voice of the Clippers in Carlo Jimenez from Paycom Center. Well, Carlo, I believe the Clippers had 8 turnovers leading to 17 points in the third quarter alone after doing a really good job in the first half of not letting those turnovers lead to big opportunities for the OKC Thunder.
Yeah, it was interesting, Adam, because the Thunder, they rely on the turnover battle so much. I mean, a fifth of their offense comes from points off turnovers. It's the highest percentage in the NBA. The Clippers did such a good job in the first half. They turned it over 8 times, which isn't great, but it only led to 7 Thunder points, like you mentioned. The Clippers, though, could just not keep the pace with this Thunder team, and maybe that's where we see a little bit of the youth of OKC. I mean, I know the Clippers are without probably their 3 oldest players, Adam, and PJ Tucker is away from the team, but adds to the age total, and then Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. But still, the OKC Thunder are a very, very young team, the second youngest team in the NBA, only behind the Portland Trailblazers, and a young team with experience. They were the youngest team in the NBA to be the number 1 seed in the playoffs last year after finishing 57-25. So you add those 2 things together. They never really panicked out there. They looked like a group that was comfortable doing what they do best, and that was turning you over and turning it into points. And I felt like that really swung the game at them. They shot 64% in that third quarter, and a lot of those were layups or threes when they were at man advantage moving left to right.
Yeah, it's what they do. They turn you over, and they don't turn over the basketball themselves. The Clippers had twice as many turnovers, 20 to just 10 for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And those 20 turnovers were turned into 31 points for OKC. They averaged 23 points off of turnovers per game. I like the fight we saw in the first half. They just got overwhelmed by the talent of this Oklahoma City Thunder team without James Harden, without Kawhi Leonard, still hoping that changes soon. It's just an uphill battle. Even when you're up by 4 at the half, to me, it felt like they needed to be up double digits. I tweeted that out to have a shot in this one because you know that big run from OKC was going to come as it did in the third quarter. But we've talked about him throughout the ball game. Amir Coffey was fantastic tonight. Went for a season high 24 points.
Yeah, he was excellent in this game, Adam. 6 for 8 from 3. And if it wasn't for Amir Coffey, the Clippers finished this game, Adam, 5 for 24 from the three-point line, if you take out his 6 for 8 from 3. So when you factor all that in, like to think about how Norman Powell had his worst game of the year, the Clippers couldn't make a 3 to save their lives. There's no James Harden. You're taking on – no, I don't want the balloons right now.
Why are you celebrating this,
Carlo? I don't
Carlo?
want the balloons on the YouTube live stream. What is going on? Please stop restream. Anyway, I just think, Adam, this is tough. You already had so much against you, and you had a 16-point lead in this game. I don't think there's any reason to hang your head here if you're this Clippers team. There's a lot to clean up, no doubt about it. But you were climbing uphill. You were climbing uphill all night. The Clippers never really found a flow offensively, and it was a tough matchup with this OKC team. I'm excited. Hopefully, Adam, we get to see these two teams both completely healthy on March 23rd at Intuit Dome, because I think it's going to be one of the best matchups out west with the way the Clippers integrate Kawhi Leonard. He'll probably be with the team hopefully a couple months at that point, and it could be a fun one against the Thunder.
Yeah, I'm with you. Clippers unfortunately fall tonight in OKC 116-98. Their next ball game on Saturday back at Intuit Dome versus the Atlanta Hawks. According to La Murray of The Athletic, that is the target date for Kawhi Leonard's return. The team has not made anything official, though. Nothing is guaranteed. We shall see, despite the fireworks going on in the background for Carlo Jimenez there after the thumbs up. But we'll see, Clipper Nation. We'll keep you abreast of the situation. You're going to hear from La Murray postgame as well, as the Clippers drop to 19-15. As Carlo mentioned, still 4 games over 500 without Kawhi Leonard on the season. I think everybody would have signed up for this.
I would.
I would have signed up for 500 without Kawhi Leonard. 4 games over 500. This team has impressed. They have overachieved. Yeah, in this economy, in this Western Conference,
with this level of inflation. Come on, Jerome Powell, help me out, man.
Clippers back at Intuit Dome on Saturday. Carla, my friend, great call as always. Safe travels. Can't wait to see you and Big Brother Jake Warner at the Dome on Saturday.
TM Crew is back on Saturday. Let's go!
Coming up next, your full complete box score after the Clippers lose by 18 in Oklahoma City. That's led by 4 at the half. We'll tell you what occurred in the second half. Coming up next, right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers led at the half, 52-48, just to lose by 18 to the best team in the West that has now won 13 straight with a final score of 116-98 in favor of the Oklahoma City Thunder. That would be your final as the Clippers drop to 19-15 now on the season, 8-9 on the road. I'm Adam Osland. This is your Clippers post-game locker room show. Coming up, we got Clippers talk for you on AM 570 LA Sports, 866-987-2570. 866-987-2570 is the phone number. I'm not sounding any alarms. I know there's going to be people that are going to do that can't look at the big picture, that don't realize that James Harden wasn't playing this game, that don't realize, hey, the Oklahoma City Thunder, this is kind of what they do. They turn you over, and they don't turn over the basketball themselves. They're the best team in the Western Conference for a reason. They do a great job in that respect, and the Clippers had 8 turnovers leading to 17 points in the third quarter alone. That would be their downfalls. They got outscored by 22 in those 12 minutes. It was 42-20. The Clippers being outscored by that number in the third period. They were down by 18 heading into the fourth quarter. They would lose this ball game by 18 points after really a spirited effort in the first half where I cannot fault the effort at all. They came out, they were locked in, they were leading by as many as 16. But the one thing I was really worried about was how much of it was the Clippers and how much of it was the Oklahoma City Thunder starting 1 of 11 from 3. Yeah, that was outlier shooting. They're not a great three-point shooting team, but they do take about 40 of them per game. You knew they were going to continue to put them up, and they started to shoot much better. They ended up 14 of 38. I want to say they ended up shooting about 50% from 3 after starting 1 for 11. They were led by SGA. He had 29. The Clippers, they had Amir Coffey with 26 points. I thought it was 24. Make it 26. It's a season high for Amir. Got the start without James Harden. Went 10 of 14. Started 5 of 5 from distance. Scorching hot coffee out there from Amir. It was beautiful to see. Unfortunately, the Clippers just couldn't sustain the hot start they had, and the turnovers would come in bunches. They finished with 20 of them, leading to 31 points by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Clippers fall 116-98. They go 1-2 on this 3-game road trip. They're heading back home to take on the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday. Hopefully, Kawhi Leonard will be available, but there is nothing official yet. However, we have a report from Law Murray, who came on with me in the pregame show. We'll play that for you. Coming up, more Clippers postgame next, right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers lose. They fall 116-98 as they got ambushed in the second half, where they scored just 46 points to the Oklahoma City Thunder's 68. They lose by 18 in OKC. They go 1-2 on the 3-game road trip. Their lone victory against the New Orleans Pelicans in a game where they trailed by 14 in the first half. Trailed by 14 early in San Antonio. Were not able to come back in that one. In fact, had their worst loss of the season, losing that one by 36. Clippers were down by as many as 28 after leading by 16 in this ball game to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is a 44-point turnaround, if my math is correct, leading by 16 to being down by 28. Yeah. It's a tough one, Clipper Nation, but you knew going in it was going to be difficult. Uphill battle. They were ice skating uphill. It was going to be rough without James Harden. I commend the effort in the first half. I don't think they ran out of effort. They ran out of talent against the best team in the Western Conference for a reason. OKC is 28-5, and they have won 13 straight games. And they have what looks to be the MVP of the league in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who had 29 points in this one. Clippers ended up shooting 47% from the field, 11 of 32 from the outside. OKC at 50% from the floor after I think they went 64% in the third quarter alone after a slow first half where they only shot 41% from the floor. But They also started slow from three, started 1 for 11 there, finished 14 of 38. And the turnovers just kept coming from the Clippers. And you knew it was going to happen with OKC, but they were so good in minimizing the damage in the first half where they only gave up, I want to say 13 points on their 7 turnovers. Their first 4 turnovers, they didn't give up any points to OKC in the first quarter. It was tremendous. But then in the third quarter alone, they had 8 turnovers leading to 17 points. They finished with 20, leading to 31 points for the Thunder. They turn you over. They get out and run. They win the possession battle that way. They ended up getting up just 5 more shots than the Clippers, who out-rebounded them. I told you guys OKC is not a good rebounding team. It doesn't matter. They find other ways to beat you by turning you over. The Clippers out-rebounded them 45-35 and 10-4 when it came to offensive rebounds. Clippers were led by Amir Coffey with 26, his season high. Clippers got 12 from Mo Bamba, maybe his best game, at least his best first half, without a doubt. Knocked down a couple of three-pointers. I think had 10 of his 12 points in the first half. Kevin Porter Jr., kind of a Jekyll and Hyde game. Very good in the first half, struggled mightily in the second half. Jordan Miller finished with 10 points. Some of it came during inconsequential times. Same with Kai Jones, who had 6 points off the bench for the Clippers. As your starters go, Norman Powell, as the Clippers go, if Norman Powell's struggling like this, going 1 for 11, having just 6 points, I mean, you could just see that and know that the Clippers are probably losing this game by 20. They lost by 18. They were down by as many as 28. Norm had his worst game of the season. Unfortunate time for it to happen. Without James Harden, you knew you needed more from Norman Powell. Amir Coffey picked up some of the slack, but Norman Powell is much better than this. He had an off night, a lot of frustration out there. At one point, thought he was fouled going down the lane against J-Dub in the second half, was screaming for a foul with the official. Just one of those frustrating nights for him. That happened. Clippers lose 116-98. Coming up, well, outside of Los Angeles, we are leaving you until Saturday when the Clippers are back after it at Intuit Dome. Tip time for that ball game against the Atlanta Hawks is at 7:30. Pre-game show starting at 6:30. Outside of Los Angeles, leaving you until then. But coming up next here on AM 570 LA Sports, we got Clippers talk. Clippers were up by 16 in the first half. And then they got thunderclapped. 116-98 was your final. They got outscored by 22 points in the third quarter. And the Oklahoma City Thunder proved who they are, the best team in the Western Conference record-wise. That is 113 straight. Welcome into Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. Whether you're listening on AM 570 LA Sports or on the YouTube side at Clippers Talk, appreciate you guys. We'll get to your phone calls at 866-987-2570. 866-987-2570 is the phone number. You can also get to me at Follow Adam A. I will react to somebody that got to me a little bit earlier on there. It was a frustrating tweet, but it should probably be addressed. 13 straight wins for OKC. They're on the front end of a back-to-back. They got the Knicks at home tomorrow, I believe. SGA finished with 29. The difference in the game, though, is simply OKC imposing their will in the second half and in that third quarter specifically. I said if you follow the thread on X that I do for each and every game at Follow Adam A, near the end of the second quarter, I was saying the Clippers better have a double-digit lead going in to the half, or else they're in trouble. That's just how it has to be. Because you knew that run was coming from the Oklahoma City Thunder. You knew they weren't going to be able to stay shooting as they started 1 for 11 from 3. They were going to start knocking them down. And they get into their offense and find themselves in the open floor when they turn you over. They are the best in the league at turning over opponents at 19 per game. The Clippers had 20. They average 23 points off of turnovers per game. Best in the league. The Clippers ended up giving them 31 points off their 20 turnovers. That's the story. Eventually, OKC did what OKC does. They turned you over, and oh yeah, they're the best at taking care of the basketball. They only had 10 turnovers to the Clippers 20. That's how they beat you. That's how they win games. That's how they have won 13 straight. And the game played out that way. I never felt comfortable. Daniel West can attest to this in the first half. I was saying, it's early. They're up 16. Great. Now they have a chance. But the thing I was saying was they better be up double digits heading in to the third quarter. And they were only up by 4. As OKC got to work, got it down to 6 points after an Isaiah Joe 3 late second quarter. Amir had a turnover. Norm had a turnover driving as he had his worst game of the season. SGA would eventually hit a 3. A J-Dub runner to end the half, and it's a 4-point game. When the Clippers were up by as many as 16. At one point, they were on a 17-4 run in the first half. But they couldn't hold on to it, and I don't fault the effort. Some people are confusing effort and execution in the chat, saying it needs to be a consistent effort all the way through. Just because you're losing doesn't mean all of a sudden you've let go of the rope or have given up or have stopped playing hard. That's not the problem. The problem is you're being out-talented. You already don't have Kawhi, Terrence Mann, and then no James Harden. Like, what were your expectations going into this one? I know Sebastian Schweinsteiger said the mush, who's always wrong. The Clippers are going to win. OKC's looking suspect. His usual stick. He'll be in a timeout whenever he comes back to the chat and shows his face. But I just don't know what your expectations were. For the people saying, uh-oh, sky is falling. They went 1-2 on the road trip. Awful road trip. Look, they lost a couple of games. The second night of a back-to-back against San Antonio. And then they have a day off and they lose another one in the Lions' Den or the Dragon's Lair, which was a disappointing game on the PC growing up because you really felt like, oh, Are the graphics really this good? No, it's just like cutscene things. That's all it is. But they're playing the best team in the Western Conference that had won 12 in a row, and now it's 13. Like, this is so... This is not a time to panic, Clipper Nation. It's not. And now there's people in here in the chat that they just can't tell the nuance between effort and execution. The Clippers were playing hard. Sometimes, believe it or not, you can play really hard and get your butts kicked because the team is just that much better than you. Because it's a mismatch on paper, and you knew that heading in. But then you get up by 16, and you feel like, oh, we could hang with them. It's a 48-minute game. That's why I never got too high when they were up by 16. I knew what OKC was about. I knew they started 1 of 11 from 3, and that's not sustainable. I knew the way the Clippers were shooting it, and Amir Coffey starting 5 of 5 from 3 was also not sustainable. So the Clippers were executing and playing really well early on. Give them credit. Different guys were stepping up. KPJ had a really good first half. Mo Bamba had his best game maybe as a Clipper, especially in the first half. How much of that was going to be repeatable as the game goes along? Turns out, typically, you regress to the mean. You revert back to who you are. Now, unfortunately for the Clippers, that never happened with Norman Powell. He started 0 for 5 in the first half and never found himself. Had his worst game of the season. Give credit to OKC, but he had 31 the last time out against him. I understand without James Harden, it's a much tougher thing when they can key in on you as the number one option out there. And they were great. He had a couple rough calls go against him. I think, it's a mix of two things. He had an off night, and also OKC's defense was leaning his way. They were very good against him. But, at the half, Mo Bamba had 9 points on 4-4 shooting and knocked down a three-pointer. That's the best 8 minutes he had played in a Clippers uniform so far. KPJ, he had 10 points, a couple of nice assists. He played well in the first half. Their bench was outperforming the starters outside of Amir Coffey, who got the start because no James Harden. I thought Ivica Zubac was playing solid basketball. Like, he was bodying Isaiah Hartenstein. He had a spinning left-handed hook off the backboard against him. Zoo was winning that matchup. They didn't go to him a ton. And OKC will double and throw different defenses at you because they got guys that can hedge and recover really well. And a lot of switchability out there. And they're just, they took Isaiah Hartenstein off the floor early on because Zoo was abusing him. They put it in the other Jalen Williams. They tried something immediately. I don't like Zubac, even in, a game like this where you ended up getting blown out, but through 3 quarters, he only had 9 shots. 11 and 9 in 23 minutes, and somebody in here was trying to tell me, you talk about KPJ having a bad second half or all his bad moments, but you don't talk about Ivica Zubac having a terrible game. It's like, can you not decipher the difference between KPJ and Ivica Zubac? Like, Ivica Zubac is one of the most important players on this team that is a made man and established in this league. He is their last line of defense. He is one of the best rim protectors in the league. He's been like that forever. And this season, he's averaging almost 16 and 12. This guy, Alfie, who I think is in the chat right now, if you guys see him in here, maybe you could point out his flawed logic, because he goes, dude, you're just biased when it comes to KPJ. Look at Zoo. You can't tell me he's having a terrible game. Poor phrasing there. First of all, Zoo wasn't having a terrible game. I wouldn't call it a good game or a great game. It was a slightly below average game, not a terrible game. But he goes, you won't mention that Be shameless. Seriously. If everyone plays badly, hold everyone accountable. Don't cherry pick. The reason that I'm highlighting KPJ is because it turns out that he's not established as a Clipper yet. You know you have to have Ivica Zubac out there. We don't know who KPJ is as a player. You don't know possession to possession who he is as a player. It has been extremely up and down, and that is being kind. So I praised him in the first half when he had a good first half. And then I criticized him in the second half because he had an objectively bad second half. And this guy comes in here and is trying to tell me, oh, you're biased for Ivica Zubac. I'm not worried about Ivica Zubac. I'm worried about KPJ ever finding a consistent rhythm out there because he hasn't done it yet. He hasn't. Oh, Alfie changed his name, I think, in the chat. He doesn't want people to know that that was him. He said, so this guy put me on timeout because I called you out over your biasness. I don't think he understands what bias is. His bias is thinking that I have a bias against KPJ, who I literally have a tweet for that says, in the preseason, I've seen it enough. I think he could be the starting 2 guard at some point for the Clippers. And now you're saying I'm biased against him? KPJ had a fair game, the least, but your favorites, Norm, Zoo, Dunn, had terrible games. Hold them accountable. Zoo and Dunn did not have terrible games. Like, some people can't be the least bit objective, and it is painfully obvious on here. I know it's social media, it's anonymous, you can hide behind all this stuff, but the KPJ hive is something else. I mean, it's not the Russ hive, but it is completely illogical. Like, somebody wants me to lie and say KPJ is not smoking layups or trying to go 1-on-2 in the second half to get tough buckets and making life much more difficult on the Clippers, or having a bad offensive foul. Like, what am I supposed to say? You want me to lie about it and say those plays aren't happening? I'm watching the game. I've literally said Norman Powell has had a really bad game, his worst game of the season. The difference is they're not the same. Norm and KPJ aren't the same. KPJ and Zoo not the same. KPJ and Amir's not the same. We know who Amir Coffey is as a player. So don't come in here and try to tell me that I need to treat KPJ the same way I treat Zoo. I'm looking to see if KPJ can be a real winning player in this league. I already know Ivica Zubac is that. I don't need to worry about that with him. Yeah. He needs to play better. The Clippers need to find him more. Like, it goes both ways. I've criticized him, even with the great season Ivica Zubac is having. I have criticized his free throw shooting. As good as he has been this season, where he's played at like a near an all-star level for the center position, I have still criticized his free throw shooting. But this guy will come in here and say, oh, you're biased. Like, yeah, why do you think you're getting a timeout? Check your own bias. Like, stop caring about one player more than the team. These stands, they don't care about the Clippers. They have agendas. They just care about promoting their player and protecting them at all times, regardless of the type of game they have. Like, I'm here to find the truth of what is the best version of this Clippers team and who needs to be playing. Clippers lose by 18 in OKC to the Thunder. Final score 116-98. They are back. Back again at Intuit Dome on Saturday. They're taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Will Kawhi Leonard be back? You're going to hear from Lob Murray next. I'm Adam Osland, and this is Clippers Talk here on AM 570 LA Sports. It continues. A guy in here tried to compare KPJ to Ivica Zubac after the Clippers lose 116-98 in Oklahoma City to the Thunder. This guy, Alfie Chico, said, I am a stan, yet here you are saying Zoo is a winning player. Zoo is a winning player. He wins his minutes consistently. He has one of the highest plus minuses on the team. I don't think you understand what makes somebody a winning player. What has he won? Like, seriously, I got time to go back and forth with you. I don't. Get wrecked. This is a pure block. I got better things to talk about. Appreciate you guys that bring a little bit of sanity to the chat here after the Clippers lose and people think KPJ is on the same pedestal as Ivica Zubac, even though he has done nothing in this league to prove that. I am hoping for the best with KPJ. I see the vision. I see why the Clippers are giving him this opportunity completely. But he still has to prove that you can win periods of games when he's out there on the court. That's what we need to see. And we haven't seen it so far. And he had a really good first half. And I can understand the logic of he was trying to force it in the second half because nobody was getting anything fine. If there weren't all these other plays from him that, change, that also, I guess, should be added into the context of my viewpoint on KPJ, I'd say, yeah, you're right. It's just it's a one-off, but it hasn't been a one-off, and we're 34 games in. Like, there are guys in here like Rock in the chat. Like he's a KPJ fan, obviously, but he's not a stan. He's not crazy. He's not saying like KPJ and Zoo have proven the same amount of stuff in the NBA so far. They haven't. Ivica Zubac is one of the better centers in the league now. Like, it's proven. Ivica Zubac needs more touches. If anything, with KPJ, he needs to take less shots, get others involved, because I've seen his playmaking get a little bit better. It has. I think. It's just so up and down. And I'm not putting this loss on him at all. I'm just trying to point out why Alfie is no longer going to be seen in the chat here. Because anybody that can't understand the difference between those two players, I can't sit here and debate it. I want you to hear from Law Murray of The Athletic, but first let's pause 10 seconds for station identification here on AM 570 LA Sports. All right, so pregame, we had the Law Murray, and I had to ask him the most appropriate question for what's coming on Saturday with the Clippers back home, head into a dome taking on the Atlanta Hawks, and him putting out the report over the last week that is the target return date for Kawhi. Keyword there, target. Nothing has been confirmed or made official by this Clippers team yet, but here was Law Murray pregame giving us an update. Saturday night, back at Into a Dome, the Clippers will be taking on the Atlanta Hawks. So, Law Murray, it begs the question, is Kawhi Leonard still on track to be available to go in his first game this season on Saturday?
Well, when I reported last week, there was a target date. That's all I could really say. And that's not something that the organization is pushing or anything like that. That's Kawhi's target date. And we know that just because Kawhi feels like he's ready or has a date circled, that doesn't always work out. We've seen that across the league with a lot of guys. They've had their ramp-up period. They might feel like they're ready, and then it doesn't work out. So but I will say he hasn't been ruled out. That is a positive as far as I'm concerned. And, when you look at what's happening, he got to practice. with the G League team, and that was a pretty big deal. He went through multiple practices. Sound like it came out pretty well with that, and so we'll have to see if the team is willing to put him out there for Saturday night. So I'm just going to say that's a lot there. All I'm saying really is nothing has changed based off of what I reported last week.
I'm going to admit this. It doesn't sound as promising as it did when you first put out the report. I think that's fair to say. Daniel West is shaking his head too. It seems more uncertain than when the initial report came out. I'm just going to be honest about that. I don't know how you guys feel in here, but again, the team has not confirmed any of this. This is just La Maria of The Athletic. I know he has good sources and good information. I'm not doubting any of that. But I think this is how most people feel. Until you see Kawhi out there on the court in the starting lineup, like, it's hard to believe it. He hasn't played since Game 3 of that playoff series back in April against the Mavs. He hasn't been ruled out yet. That's true. Bryant pointing that out. J-Dog said, shaking my head. I told you guys. Mark Jag said, I'm a big Kawhi fan, but I'm almost not caring anymore. Not trying to be funny, but when he comes back, or if he comes back, I'm happy. Obviously, if there's any breaking news regarding Kawhi and his availability for that game on Saturday, we'll have you covered at Clippers Talk on the YouTube side. I will go live right away. But until then, it feels like a little bit in question, in doubt, versus last week. Everybody said he's back on this date. It never was that. It never was a guarantee. It was a target date. But I thought things might be a little bit more solidified at this point, with it just less than 48 hours away. It could still happen, but nothing is definite. Mike in LA, you're on Clippers Talk with Adam Moslin. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Adam. I understand that obviously OKC is great at causing teams to have turnovers, and that's what they do. But the annoying thing for me is that this has been a problem with the Clippers all season. Even when they play teams that aren't OKC, we still have issues with turnovers.
Yeah.
And it's turnovers and free throws. I'm not saying we lost the game tonight because of free throws, but we missed 6 of them, and it just, those have been problems with other teams, and I just don't know how. I don't see getting Kawhi back as making such a huge difference in either of those.
Oh, it will.
In either of those. I hope
Mike,
you're right.
I can tell you exactly why it will. Because one of the reasons they've been turning the basketball over so much is because the thing I've been saying since day one this year, they have a 35-year-old with the usage rating of a 25-year-old in James Harden. And then without him tonight, okay, so now Chris Dunn is your lead ball handler all of a sudden, and now KPJ has the ball in his hands more, and you have other lineups, and you're going up against the team that creates the most deflections in the league, that creates the most turnovers in the league. And you don't have your traditional floor general. And even when you do have him, yes, he is often gassed because he's playing heavy minutes and trying to do things like he used to in Houston, because they don't have a better option right now. When Kawhi is there, the ball will be in his hands a lot. That usage rating for James Harden will drop significantly, quickly. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight within the first week with Kawhi back, but over time, I do believe they will start turning the basketball over less.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you are right.
All right. Appreciate the phone call, Mike. Mike pointing out some of the flaws and errors with this Clippers team and just weaknesses that have been going on all season long. And I get it. I don't know how anybody Not saying everybody watched my preview going into this game, but I tried to make it very clear. This is what OKC does really well. And that's what happened tonight. So I wasn't surprised by any of it. You have a team that turns the ball over a lot against a team that turns the opposition over a lot. What did you think was going to happen? I'll admit the Clippers did a nice job early on. I think some of that was because the OKC Thunder just weren't as focused because they knew that the Clippers didn't have James Harden. And they have bigger fish to fry tomorrow night against the Knicks. I could see that part of this was probably a letdown from them out of the gates. They got serious in the second half. They turned up the volume. They turned up the gas. And that is when the Clippers started to struggle. And their ball pressure was much better. And they had 8 turnovers in the third quarter. The Clippers leading to 17 points. Some people in here are talking about just real big picture stuff like, what can we get for a Kawhi Leonard trade? It's like, he hasn't played a game. Not much. He hasn't played a game yet. This guy, Adam R., is like, can they win the championship this year? Tell me. Can they trade Kawhi? Tell me. He's just asking this very casual, I'm sorry, Adam, questions that we have talked about for months, which is, it's just, can somebody else handle that in the chat, please? I gotta get to these phone calls. Jesus in Alhambra, you're on Clippers Talk with Adam Austin. What's up, Jesus?
Hey, what's up, Adam? Thanks for taking my call, man. That was a rough loss, man. 2 losses in a row. It's a bummer, because we have been playing, fairly well. But like you said, man, what do you expect when we ain't got, Kawhi Leonard, and when we ain't got our next best guy, James Harden, which, I mean, he's been carrying a huge part of this load for us. And, it's just, we really can't expect much more, man. Like the guys that we needed to step up, they stepped up, but they're great role players, great complementary pieces when we have, Norman Powell and James Harden and Kawhi all firing on all cylinders. And unfortunately, we don't have that, man. So, this is what we're going to expect. But still, on the bright side, man, Amir Coffey, what he did, Mo Bamba, which, he's been very inconsistent, this season and stuff, man. But
let's be honest,
he's been
bad.
Like
he's been bad. He's been
all
bad.
Right. All right.
He was good, though, in the first half tonight, and I'm hoping he can build off of this because I saw a different level of energy from Mo Bamba. I thought the first couple of games with the Clippers, he played with more spirit, more activity out there, and I saw that again tonight. I just need more of that. Now, I wonder, and I have wondered, if his three-point shot basically being non-existent so far this season, when he has been a league average three-point shooter at 7 feet tall throughout his career, that is a part of his game. I've wondered, because he was shooting 20% from 3 heading into this game, if that has killed his confidence. And, he knocked one down, and maybe that helped lift his spirits a little bit.
That could be it, man. That could be it, so, when you, what they say, you get the yips, nothing's falling for you and stuff, and you just get into your head, and it's, it becomes even tougher and tougher to score, man, until you can break that and like you said, get your confidence back, man. But I did want to touch on something else. I've seen this picture circulating on social media with Kawhi, back at practice and stuff like that. It was out, like, say, maybe like a few days ago.
Do you follow me on Instagram?
Not, but
do you follow me? Do you listen to the show on Clippers Talk? Are you talking about Kawhi's left leg versus his right leg?
Yeah.
I've already addressed it like 10 different times.
Oh, all right, man.
Thanks for the phone call.
All right, well, sorry to bring it up again, man, but yeah.
Everybody trying to make something out of one angle because Clippers Reddit, misery loves company. They just want to be doomers. Or the guy named Depressed Clipper Fan or something like that on Instagram. Like, first of all, they were saying like his left leg, something was wrong with it. It looked flexed. His right leg wasn't. I'm not going to acknowledge that stuff. I literally saw Kawhi at media day. I didn't notice a difference between both legs. Like, Guys, if there was some significant difference between both legs to that degree, do you think the training staff wouldn't have noticed it and wouldn't have picked up on, well, maybe he's overcompensating or one leg is too weak for him to play right now? You think they would let him play if that picture was anything to be concerned about? Yeah. Alfonso and San Dimas. Great night here. Alfonso, what's up? You're on Clippers Talk with Adam Osland.
Hey, how's it going, Adam? I had a question. I know we got some injuries on the team, and Kawhi.
Their
still
best
up
player
in the
hasn't
air.
played a game yet, and then James Harden doesn't play tonight. And some people want to say, "Well, the Clippers they just laid down or they didn't play hard." It's like, my God, can you give the best team in the Western Conference some credit? It turns out when they turn up the gas, they're tough to hang with. It doesn't mean the Clippers weren't trying hard. OKC is that good.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But as far as I know, the trade deadline coming up, I was wondering like I know like on the margins, like can like a trade for like a Cam Johnson or like Colin Sexton be made?
How are they going to trade for
Possible.
Cam Johnson? Like, here's a point I keep making, Alfonso. First of all, why would they make a trade to raise their ceiling when they can only win a championship if Kawhi Leonard's healthy and they haven't seen Kawhi Leonard out there yet and to see if he can stay healthy? Why would you make a move and give up more future assets if you don't even know if Kawhi can stay healthy? Because you have no chance to win a championship if he can't, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
So should they see Alfonso first before making a trade and giving up more future assets if Kawhi can stay healthy?
Of course, I agree with that totally. But I'm not like trying to like go crazy or give up crazy draft picks. Like,
what do you
like
think it's going to take for
like
Cam Johnson?
Deal.
My man, Cam Johnson is going to take at least a first-round pick.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's true. Then that's not a trade to be made. Then.
And
yeah, I was
Colin
just looking
Sexton,
at the trade that the Lakers just did with Finney Smith. Like I know, like it's like gave up 3 second-round picks. Like I was curious, like like with the Clippers, they were able to do that kind of a trade for him. They, you know what I mean? But like you said, you got to wait for Kawhi.
He is a better player than Finney Smith. He would cost you more than what they gave up for Finney Smith. So those two players aren't equal. They can get a lot more. And the problem is, Alfonso, and I appreciate the question, I do, but every team in the league just about has more assets to give up to win a bidding war against the Clippers, right?
Yes.
So if any other team is also going for that good player, and they are, because they know about him too, it's going to be tough for the Clippers to be able to get him. Nor should they be trying to right now until they see how Kawhi Leonard looks. But I appreciate you, my guy. Anything else?
No, well, last thing I know, well, that's the thing where like I know they're holding on to PJ Tucker because of the money situation, so they could like fit in some kind of trade if possible. So if there's nothing out, like I guess if Kawhi, like if the team's not, like you said, there's no worth. Well, you got to wait to see with Kawhi. Then PJ Tucker just eat it for the rest of the year, I guess.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, the PJ Tucker $11 million expiring deal that you bring up there, Alfonso, that is something that will be sought after, I think, near the trade deadline, where a team knows they're out of it and they're just looking at their salary going into next year, and maybe they want some cap relief for the ability to get under the first or second apron. So they give up a player that makes $11 million but has 2 more years left on his deal and isn't an expiring like PJ Tucker's is. They might be able to get something decent for PJ Tucker, not Cam Johnson, not Colin Sexton, unless, he's included with other assets and other draft capital or something like that. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they are able to trade him for something. How good that something is, we'll see. But it's a good question. I appreciate you, Alfonso. Call me back on Saturday, all right?
Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
All right. There's Alfonso. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back. Clippers lose badly again, so we're talking about everything but the loss again. They were up by 4 at the half. They were playing really good basketball. OKC was also playing, I don't know, their D- brand of basketball. Once they started playing their B- brand of basketball, you saw the difference in talent between the two teams in the third quarter. They won that quarter by 22 points. They won the game by 18. They've won 13 straight. It's okay. It doesn't mean the Clippers weren't playing hard just because they got beat up. Sometimes you're just at such a talent disadvantage, it doesn't matter. I don't know if you guys have heard this. It's a players' league, and they have a lot of them. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to Clippers Talk here on AM 570 LA Sports. I feel like I need to bring back some perspective here and give you the bird's eye view. The Clippers are 19-15 in the Western Conference and have not had Kawhi Leonard for a game yet. For people that want to talk about, oh, they aren't playing hard or the effort isn't there, I repeat, the Clippers are 19-15 and haven't had their best player in one game yet. Tell me another team without their number one option so far this season that has a winning record, that hasn't had their best player for one game that has a winning record. Tell me who that team is. Hey, welcome back in. It's Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. 866-987-2570. 866-987-2570. Harold in North Hollywood. Is he going to stick the knife in again? Harold, don't do it. Don't do it, Harold.
No. Hey, I like you, Adam.
I like you too.
But I think I'm going crazy with this Kawhi. When's Kawhi? I even mentioned to you earlier in the year. I said, when's he come back? Well, you said maybe after the All-Star game. The season is pretty
Did
much
I say that?
It's on its way, and we still don't have Kawhi. I don't even think he's going to play.
Harold, what do you want him to do?
Yes.
Do you want him to scream at his knee and tell his knee, stop being hurt so much, knee? Stop doing that. Is that the logic you are espousing here?
What I'm saying is, if people pay good money to go to Clipper games and they want to see the stars. Well, this is a general problem we have in the league now.
So guys who are legitimately hurt should play. Like he should just cut off his leg and run and hopscotch out there. What do you want him to do?
No.
What's the solution,
think
Harold? Do you have a solution? That's what I'm wondering.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is what my solution is: don't play, Adam. Tell him to take the rest of the season off. If it's in your head about that knee, then
So
tell
Harold,
the fans.
Harold,
Let me finish.
You just said
Yes,
it
go ahead.
hurts. It hurts the league and it hurts the fans because you can't play right now. But if he is able to play, if he does get healthy, you don't want him to play when he is able to?
He will never be 100% on that knee.
It's not about 100%. It's about healthy enough to be able to play.
Adam, if he's not 100%, he will not play. He won't. That's the way he is.
It depends on how you
case.
define 100%. If he doesn't have to worry about exacerbating the injury, worsening it, like Harold, he tried to play last year in the playoffs, and there was a play where he caught an alley-oop and was hanging on the rim and was scared to drop from it because of the impact on his right knee. Yet he was still trying to play. No. You don't get to switch up the subject. Do you know that Kawhi Leonard, playing hurt, was hanging from the rim and swinging from it, waiting to be more still to drop to the floor because he was afraid of the impact on his right knee? Did you know that happened?
No, but let me
Okay,
ask
no. Because you have been saying he won't play unless he's 100%. Do you think he was 100% while he was scared to fall to the floor on that knee, Harold? Yes or no?
I want to make a point
first. Because you have to pivot because I'm right.
No.
Harold,
why did he go to the Olympics?
I'm giving you a clear-cut example of him playing not 100%. You just said Harold, no. Go grown it yourself. You're the one that came on. Pull him down. Harold, if you don't want to acknowledge the fact that obviously he has played through it when it's not 100%, he wasn't right going back to 2014 during that Spurs run. He wasn't right and played through it. His trainers have said that. Watching him limp around during the 2019 playoffs, he wasn't right for the Raptors and played through it. So if you're going to say that he wasn't 100% or he won't play unless he's 100%, I'm going to point to actual examples when he did play and wasn't 100%. Is that fair? Is that fair, Harold?
Yeah. Why did he
Oh
go
my
to
God.
the Olympic Games?
He just run through that point.
No,
because he thought he was healthy. No. I'll answer yours, Harold. Because he thought he was healthy. Because he thought he was healthy. No. I'm answering yours, Harold. Are you going to acknowledge that I'm answering it?
I am acknowledging, fans.
I just answered your question. And every time I answer it, you just try to move on to something else. Harold.
I asked you a question.
And I just answered it.
Answer the question.
I just did.
I asked you,
Harold,
why did
you're talking about me not answering a question that I just answered.
No,
Harold, he wanted to play because he thought he was healthy. And then there was a setback. Do you understand? He thought he was healthy. He thought he was healthy.
Went there.
Okay, well, so if Kawhi thinks he's healthy, he shouldn't play basketball.
He wasn't healthy. They sent him home.
If he thought he was healthy, should he not want to play basketball? So first you're saying he won't play unless he's 100%. Now you're saying he wasn't healthy and tried to play during Team USA. Thanks for the phone call, Harold. You proved my point. Oh my God. We'll take a quick time out. This is not the night. This is not the night. Chat is having a field day with Harold. I think you guys will love this. I have to take a quick time out because we got one left and we got to get out. More Clippers talk coming up next here on AM 570 LA Sports. Clippers lose, and Clipper Nation is losing their minds. Again, the Clippers are 19-15 without Kawhi Leonard. I should have just turned the mic on and said that over and over again for like 45 minutes. That would have kept me more sane than some of the comments and phone calls that I've gotten tonight. Thanks, Harold, for contradicting yourself in 5 different ways. Oh, soft pretzel logic. Love you, Harold. Clippers lose 116-98 in OKC to the Thunder. They're back after it on Saturday, back home at Intuit Dome. We'll have you updated on Clippers talk if we have news on Kawhi Leonard, if he'll be available. Before we get out of here, I do want to thank the Clippers organization, Ralph Lawler, Brian Seaman, Noah Eagle, Carlo Jimenez, Dan West. I'm sorry we didn't get to your segment. I was too busy arguing with disgruntled man, who I appreciate. But I appreciate you, Daniel West, much more. Until Saturday with the pregame show starting at 6:30. I'm Adam Ozen. Everyone take care. We'll talk to you then.